Well, happy Mother's Day. Today is Mother's Day. Well, we're certainly grateful to our moms, if for no other reason than they gave us life. We're here because of them. And even if we are not a mom ourselves in the traditional sense, we might have played that role with others and even ourselves. And certainly in a metaphysical or spiritual sense, we are all moms. We all have within us the divine feminine as well as the divine masculine. We are all both of those, so that Mother's Day is about all of us. And recently I was thinking about my own mother, who passed away a few years ago, and I was thinking that she had 5 children. 5 kids in a span of 10 years. What was she thinking? I look back, I have no idea how she handled that, because for many of those years she was also working outside of the house, and my father, her husband, worked crazy hours as a car salesman. So I really have no idea how she did that. But of course it was a little bit different. You know, I could go out of the house with my siblings in the morning. She might not see me for lunch, and I had to be back for dinner. But I was relatively safe, just roaming around the neighborhood. Well, then I see my own siblings and their kids. They don't have 5, but they have several. And it got to be a little different and more difficult in a different way, right? And now I see their children, my nieces and nephews, having kids. Again, not 5, 1, maybe 2, and yet they can't just send them out, the front door and let them be. And they have to be much more hands-on. And of course, nowadays, both parents are working outside the house. So I'm still find myself in amazement of how people do this. I just can't even. I marvel at them. So today I want to help lighten the load for moms and for all of us, because I haven't met anyone who says, I am just filled with joy and happiness every single second of the day. I don't have any worry or concern. No, I hear that a lot of us feel overwhelmed. And so this is for everyone today. But we're going to first look at this mother idea in a spiritual and metaphysical way, and then lightening the load may look a bit easier for all of us. So we go to the Bible, and in Genesis we read, "And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. And God created man in his own image, male and female created he them." Thus, human beings created in the likeness of God must have within them the essence of father, mother, male, female. Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore attributed each of the 12 spiritual powers to have a predominant feminine or male, masculine attribute. He advocated for a balance of both to be essential for a healthy and balanced person. He taught that inherent in each person is the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And each power, each spiritual power, embodied one of these divine aspects. Now in Genesis, again, God said, "It is not good that man should be alone." And when we interpret this metaphysically, it means it's not good for the divine feminine or the divine masculine to act alone. Mr. Fillmore assigned each spiritual power to the divine feminine or masculine, and he assigned the spiritual power of love to the feminine aspect and the spiritual power of wisdom to the masculine, and taught that this was another example of how the two powers and aspects work together to bring peace and abundance into our lives. drawing on both our divine feminine and our divine masculine, as well as relying on our spiritual powers of love and wisdom, brings us into balance and can even help us discern ways to lighten our load and reduce anxiety and feelings of overwhelm. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "There is one mind common to all individuals, and by lowly listening, we shall hear the right word." Lowly listening. Well, Unity teacher Eric Butterworth said that the great need of our day is for more training in the art of lowly listening. And that lowly listening is to take the time to go within. Today we call it meditation, we call it mindfulness, but it's that time to pause and breathe and go within. And so that's the great need today. It's time to acknowledge that reasoning alone has never solved the human problems. We do have a continuing need to turn within, to be still and to know, to remember, male and female, he created you. In the silence, you may find the balance of mind and heart together, wisdom and intuition together to help you feel balanced. And then when we look at our life, it appears that there's too much, we're overwhelmed. We may just realize that the best way to do is to be. The best way to do is to be, to take that pause, to breathe and go within, to get that balance between our divine feminine and our divine masculine. In fact, Albert Einstein said that all his work was the result of intuition and not just of logic and reason. So perhaps now more than ever, we all need the intellect to heed the heart. We need the spiritual power of love and wisdom to come together for balance, to lighten our load. Yes, within each one of us, we have both the divine feminine and masculine qualities, and at any time, one may prevail over the other, which can cause us to feel out of balance and overwhelmed. And yet, there might even be a deeper understanding that is called for. So I want to tell you about a wonderful story that many of you may already know. Well, in 1957, a large clay statue of the Buddha had to be moved out of the Thai monastery to another location. The monastery needed to be relocated for the most ridiculous of reasons, to add a place for a new highway. But this large clay statue was so precious an idol, and they brought in a special crane to come in and to lift it with care. However, as they were lifting, the crane was lifting, the actual weight of the Buddha was so much that it started to crack. And the head monk got very nervous and said, no, lower it very carefully, lower it. And then it started to rain. Even now more worried as he started to see cracks in the Buddha. So they went and got a big tarp, put a tarp all over it. Later that night, the monk, still being nervous, came out with a flashlight. He wanted to lift up the tarp and look underneath and see if it was okay. Well, when he shone his light on the statue, he was shocked to discover that there was a light shining back at him. Well, he went inside and quickly got a hammer and a chisel, and as he gently tapped at the clay, pieces of the clay began to fall off. And after hours of arduous work, he stood there beholding a 10-foot tall, magnificent gold statue of the Buddha. Well, now it sits in the temple of the Golden Buddha, and it's worth over $200 million. Historians believe the Buddha had been purposely covered with clay by the Thai monks several hundred years earlier to protect it from an attack by the Burmese army. They were concerned that their precious Buddha statue might be stolen or even destroyed. However, in the attack, all the monks had been killed, and the secret of the Buddha, the Golden Buddha, went with them. This truth was hidden for hundreds of years. It's a wonderful story, isn't it? And it has a great question for all of you. How long are you going to hide your treasure? Are you going to hide your light? You entered this world as perfection, as an original blessing. Each one of us has it all within us. And yet over the years, we have limited ourselves. We have covered ourselves with limiting labels and negative beliefs. And little by little, we have covered over our inner light, our inner splendor. It didn't happen all at once. It happened over many, many years. Many labels, many roles, many negative beliefs. Someone might have teased us as being clumsy. So we took on the label of clumsy and placed it right on us. Someone might have not appreciated our artwork. So we took that label of, I'm not creative, and placed that label on us. Or we read a book about the ideal mother, or viewed a movie about the perfect mom, and now we decided that we are not a good mom. And another layer, another label goes on. Just envision yourself being covered with those little memo sticks, those little, what are they called, Rob? Those little sticks. Post-its. There we go. My mind just left me. Just imagine yourself being covered with all these Post-its, right? And we did that to ourselves. Now, many years later, we're not only looking at ourselves, but we're looking at the world through all these Post-its. And it doesn't look that great. We become overwhelmed as we strive to see more clearly, as we strive to embrace our sacred abundance in ourselves and in the world. Yet despite all the Post-its, all the clay that blocks our truth from shining, that inner light, that Christ light within us is still shining bright. Yeah, it's going to take some effort. You don't have to get a hammer and chisel, but it still will take some effort to chisel away all the limiting and erroneous labels and beliefs. But it can happen more easily as we affirm who we truly are, that we are the light in the world. And it doesn't really matter how my light shines, as each of us will shine our light in our own unique, special way. But it does matter that we embrace that inner splendor and shine. The author of the book that I based this series of Sacred Abundance on was written by Reverend Writer, and it's called Sacred Abundance. Well, she writes of her own struggle to allow her inner light to shine. And it finally happened, or it made sense to her, when she discovered spiritual Windex. You don't know about that? Spiritual Windex? Yeah, well. Imagine a lighthouse, a building that shines its light for others. The light is pure, it's brilliant and perfect, and knows only and always to shine its light in all directions. However, this light needs to shine through the glass of the lighthouse. Over time, the glass gets dirty, smeared, smudged, and even scratched. Soot and sea spray collect on the glass, and visitors might even write some messages in the dirt like, clean, get yourself clean, right? As the glass gets darker and dingier, less of the light can be seen by those out on sea. But the light is no less brilliant or perfect. It is simply limited by the years of stuff on the glass. So the question is our glass smudged, dingy, with limiting labels and lack beliefs about ourselves? What are we to do? Get some spiritual Windex. Spiritual Windex is any conscious act or practice that is meant to bring us back to our light. And as we let our light shine more clearly, our load will certainly be lighter. Each time we pause and breathe and go within, that glass gets a little cleaner. Spiritual Windex can also be when we spend time in a like-minded spiritual community, or attending a prayer group, reading a positive spiritual book, practicing self-care, and even holding others in prayer. All of these and many, many other spiritual focused applications will heal and clear away the glass of our soul so our inner light shines for all the world to see. We need all of our lights to shine brightly and unhindered. And as we do, we lighten our load. We lighten the load of others. We all can feel less overwhelmed and truly live a life of sacred abundance. So this week, I encourage all of you to get some spiritual Windex. Use a little of that spiritual Windex on your soul and allow your inner light, your inner splendor, to shine for yourself and for everyone in your life. You just might lighten your load, and you just might discover that you are a blessing. You are perfect just the way you are. Happy Mother's Day. Namaste.